All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call a meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation and Treaty 3 territory. My name is Neil Harden. I'm chairing today's panel. With me are Harvey Diamond and Linda Schulz. The recording secretary is Crystal Harland, and the assessor is Merrick Froelich. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application and will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence upon the application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1 through 3 on our docket today. Mrs. Harlan, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Assessor, would you please state your full name?
Merrick Froelich.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, would you please state your full name?
Rocky Neufeld.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and welcome back after a summer layoff. Our first property today is 73 Paquin Road. So, Mr. Froelich, you can begin with that property.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairperson. File number is 25275, roll number 0605312700. As of April 1st, for the 2026 assessment year, we have a value of $3,189,000. Property is an inventory warehouse. It was built in 2 stages in 1981 and 1985. Wall heights are 16 to 18 feet. We have a plan area of 26,598, and we have a land to building ratio of 3.31%. If you look at page 2 of my brief, here are some pictures just showing what exterior pictures that are of this property on pages 2 and 3. I have not had the opportunity to inspect this building. Request for information, the applicant has been compliant with regards to completing the income and expense mailer information. This property is a bit unique because the rents here are gross. And if you look at the total net income that they provided, so they have provided a gross rent of $245,804. Here they have the expenses listed. One thing that was interesting with regards to the income and expense mailer on page 4, under management, and I appreciate the fact that Mr. Neufeld did acknowledge this, is that the property management fees of $155,000, which was abnormal, and subsequently Mr. Neufeld made an adjustment to that. And here it shows a leasable area of 26,555. Like I stated before, the, the the mailer on page 5 shows the 3 tenants that are located here. These are long-term tenants. These tenants have been in this property since 2015, so vacancy has not been an issue with regard to this property. The tenants are listed here. They're listed as a semi-gross rent, but what's interesting is there are no recoveries been recorded with regards to for this property and in subsequent years. I'm now referencing page 6. So we have a breakdown of 5 different units. The average, so on the 26,555, 201,950 is the GPI. I calculated $7.68 rent. Using a 1.5% vacancy, we had effective gross income of 198,921. 3% for expenses, $4 for shortfall. We come up with a net operating income of 191,360. Using a 6% cap rate, we come up with a value of $3,189,000. On page 7, I got comparables of comparable properties that are all in the St. Boniface Industrial Park location. The ones I've pulled are from Duran and Bagan and Debates. They're in terms of we have the current leases listed on the second column. We have the lease sizes ranging from 2,940 to 11,1152, which is within the range of what the units are leasing for in with the subject property. Average wall heights are between 18 and 24 feet. Buildings were built between 1980 and 1990, and we got a range of rents from $6.95 to $8.60, which is within the range of the subject property. Our cap rates that we have for this property is on page 8, page 9, and for this would be industrial. See, if it's industrial B, it's between 6 and 7%, and we are using a cap rate of 6%, so we're within the range here. That concludes my final presentation. I am open to questions. Thank you.
Okay, questions, Mr. Newfield?
Yes, I heard you describe this as a warehouse. Have you looked at the site?
Well, it's an industrial strip mall essentially. We have it categorized as an inventory warehouse, but it's industrial strip mall.
Well, it's a contractor's establishment.
Actually, a part of me, it's a flex warehouse. I apologize for that.
Okay, but this
Flex
is
warehouse.
a contractor's establishment, is it not?
Uh,
Those are all contractors?
I don't have any knowledge of it with regards to the.
Well, it's your evidence in the role. And I was just
Well, I don't know if they're linked or not, so there's Star Industries, there's a specialty concrete, and then there's another concrete company. So
Yeah, okay, so contractors. Now, this height that is listed on page 1, 16 to 18. So first of all, that means that the site has different elevations in the.
Well, there's 2 separate buildings here. The 1981 building was 16 feet, and the 1985 building is 18 feet.
Okay, and those are exterior numbers, correct?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so what would be the interior clear heights then?
It varies between building, but I would say sometimes it'd be 2 feet, so either 14 and 16 feet interior.
Okay, and your comparables on page 7, these are all higher than the subject, is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay. You had said that there were no recoveries listed, but it says in the rent roll, first of all, on page 5, that taxes are included in the lease, correct?
That is correct.
And what did you mean by no recoveries? You were speaking of utilities?
Well, no, when I was looking at page 4 and in the history of the mailers, they in the first column for general administrative recoveries, utility maintenance recoveries, and property tax recoveries, they've never reported any dollar amounts there.
Right, and are the units separately metered? I think that's the reason why.
Uh, I would not have knowledge of that.
Okay. And when you're looking at the page 4, we're not in dispute that that the costs that the owner are incurring include the property taxes, waste, snow removal, and insurance, correct?
Yep, that's what they reported.
Yeah. So, did you take a look and attempt to figure out what the actual net was? And we're not going to talk about property management. That's fine. Did you look at that?
I did not.
Okay. I think that's all. Yeah, I just a question here. In general, in this particular market region, what would you call this, Paquin? A southeast quadrant or something like that, or do you have a name for it?
Well, it's St. Boniface Industrial Park for the
Okay.
neighborhood characterization area.
Okay. And does your assessment department have any sort of statistics on market changes over time in this area? How does it compare over time?
Um, Not that I don't know what you're referring to.
Well, does the assessment department track market value changes over time?
Well, we build mathematical models every year based on assessment rates, right? Based on the
Okay.
assessment. So for this, the reference date was April 1st, 2023.
Does the assessment department break these down by use, in the type of industrial use?
Uh no, we categorize all these as they're all categorized as flex warehouses. So flex warehouses would be defined as being sort of like almost the equivalent of an industrial strip mall because, and you'll have a wide varieties like the flex warehouses that were built in the 1970s are different than the ones in the 1990s that are different than the ones built today.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you characterize all industrial in the same general category?
Well,
Is
they're
that
property type classes, right? So there's inventory warehouses, there are flex warehouses, there are loft warehouses.
okay?
So we categorize each group.
And you call this a flex warehouse as a categorization?
That's what we do, yes.
And wouldn't a flex warehouse have about 27, 28 feet clear?
The newer ones do.
Yeah,
Not,
okay.
not the ones built in the 1980s.
Right. And is there a breakdown on these in your model that you
Well,
know?
yeah, usually what happens is the newer flex houses generate a much higher rental rate, and that's how they're differentiated.
Page 9, um, the industrial rates appear to be the same for no matter what category on the city. Is that correct?
Well, that's the city of Winnipeg. The industrial A and Bs and the multi-tenanted are it's one category. Yes.
Okay, you have industrial A and B, single, multi, they're all at the same range,
Yeah,
5.35.
it's the 20th, 80th percentile. Yes.
Yeah, okay. And to your knowledge, um, are there any capitalization rates for properties like the subject?
Well, there were some sales in the neighborhood that had taken place. You know,
Cap rates?
well, they were a part of a REIT sale.
Okay, a REIT, so that's an investment. Now, you've put in Colliers, CBRE, and Cushman. Now, since you put this information in, I get to ask the question. Are you aware that the Colliers report would not even characterize this in our study? It's too inferior
Wouldn't categorize this property as
as an investment property?
yeah, well, the bottom line is this: Colliers may not categorize this as an investment property, but there are many buyers and sellers that buy properties that were built in the 1930s,
Sorry, I'm asking
1950s.
about your evidence, not the backstory, but you put in reports from 3 companies who sell investment properties. Now, I can speak specifically for one, and I can fair I know what the others do. Are you aware that we don't track non-investment grade properties? we don't care about them. So we're looking at the Flex Warehouse, the 27 footers.
Well, yeah, well, the point is then so in your analysis of doing this, then you're taking away a significant part of the marketplace because not all brand new properties are of are truly of industrial grade. So
Well,
these properties do buy and sell in the marketplace. There is value, and our job's to create a value on this.
okay, no one's disputing that they buy and sell. My question was, you're aware that they're not selling for investment grade and therefore no cap rates could be derived?
Well, that's your opinion. If you're
I
able,
said,
if you're, but
I'm
uh, the point is we have to create a model, and we look at the sales of properties that take place,
yeah,
and
I
if sales
wasn't
that
asking
take,
what you
no,
do. I just was, were you aware of that?
well, well, I've answered the question.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Okay, Ms. Schultz, any questions?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes, Mr. Froelich, I'm looking at your comparables because I think the amount of rent is important. Have you compared your comparables on page 7 with the subject property?
Yeah, I felt that they were a reasonable indication of what market rents are in the neighborhood for
Yeah.
that type of property.
Okay, and because you haven't inspected you indicated the property,
So,
but again,
and the point is like with regards to these properties and some of the other properties that we have in the area, that have been built, like a lot of this industrial park was built, in the 1980s. And so, this one in this situation has never been for lease. We don't have, I've never seen a lease. I don't have access, or we don't have it in our database, a lease listing for this property to say what the interior is like.
okay, and that's fair. And the other question I have is the model shows a 1.5% vacancy rate, and how did that occur? Could you tell us?
Well, we had looked at all the vacancy rates with regards to the southeast quadrant or the eastern quadrant, and there was not a lot of high vacancy rates that were in this area, which is why we used the 1.5%. And then I'd like to add that this property hasn't been vacated since I went only as far as 2015, and it doesn't have a history of a high vacancy.
Okay, so you're saying the area though does not have a high
Area,
vacancy?
generally, yeah.
Okay, I think that's just my questions. Thank you.
Okay, questions I have is you've got this subdivided into a number of smaller properties, smaller units, 5 smaller units. But in fact, there are only three. One company uh, seems to be renting 14,000 and change, another one 6,000 and change. Um, would that not affect the economies of scale on the rental? Wouldn't you pay less per square foot for 14,000 versus 5,000?
Yeah, that's you. Generally speaking, that's the case. Not in all circumstances. And one of my comparables is 11,552 square feet at 750, which is slightly lower than the 768 that we have.
Okay.
And I guess my train of thought is that because this is how how we have it broken up, so that's why I follow the PIDs in that matter, or I follow the comparables in that way.
All right. Um, Now 6% cap is kind of the midpoint of your range. Was that model
Yes, it
driven?
was. Yes.
Well, it's actually a midpoint. It's probably closer to the 20th percentile than the 80th.
Yep.
Um, all right. All right. I don't know if anything arises from that, but I'm sure we'll hear about it. So, Mr. Neufeld, you can begin your presentation.
Thank you. Sorry, I just have. Uh, okay. Okay, well, I think you caught the general gist here is that it's a contractor's establishment, 3 units, and the actual income on it. Um, we did discuss the reporting differential, and for some reason, I think, and I'm not objecting to it, but I thought that the assessor had a post reference. Oh, I see what the difference is. No, I'll just explain the difference here is a period ending. Right. The assessor had a period ending in January of 23, and we had a calendar year one. So, um, but the numbers don't really differ much. And on our page 4, you'll see the same entry as the assessor on the property management administration. And this is this is a sign of honesty because, the section in the act saying about if you report something and it's inconsistent, then you can't use it. So this guy's telling the truth. There's a shell company that takes the income from it. And it's the real estate holding company, legitimate inside transfer, and he had no line item for it. So we adjusted it and to a reasonable amount. But as a result, just by changing that to 5% from the claimed amount, we got our number on page 1 of 142,073. And you'll probably find that that's fairly consistent with what the assessor would have shown had they done it. And it just shows that there's a difference between their model, which is skewed to a different type of industrial use than to this, which is a low ceiling contractor's establishment. And the cap rate we've applied is, I can now say this very, very confidently. If you've been reading the Collier's cap rate report, you'll probably notice my work in there, my distinctive writing style. So I've been writing that report now for a few years, and Collier's cap rates do not track buildings like this. We track high grade investment interested properties, high cube spaces, large spaces, logistics mostly. And most all of the investment inventory is centered in Rosser now, not so much in Winnipeg. And we are skewed towards it because, and the same as the other companies, we report what investors want. It's not for appraisers or assessors. It's what investors, because it's all done by our brokerage firm. So an investor is chasing the high cube, and it's really a changing marketplace. And COVID not accentuated it, but it was on its way before then. The world has changed in industrial. I don't even think you should call it industrial. It's logistics, it's home delivery. People need warehouses. They deliver to your house from their warehouses, and it's actually a form of retail. But that's what investors want. They don't want little operations that a couple of concrete companies rent because the covenant's no good for them. They want Amazon. They want people who do these big deliveries. So when we look at it on our page 3 and look at, say, a prime rate of, say, 6.5, and then we've just adjusted it upwards from there just to account for the differences. And this is a work product of Collier's, and this is more of a hypothetical rate because we're not getting these deals. They don't sell on the investment basis. But if we're going to apply an income approach, we can at least adjust the cap rate accordingly to investor sentiment, which we are experts in. And that's really our case, is it's actual income and a cap rate that commensurate with the use. On page 6, we have a couple of rental rates, and there's a typo there in the middle. It says Woney. That's I should say Sony Place, but other than that, so what we're tracking here are similar styles. Like the first one on Border is probably the biggest example of an industrial strip that has multiple users and mostly contractors and small operations. And But the actuals speak strongly to it. It's been owned by the same fellow for quite a long time. Nice conversation with him yesterday, just to show you we do our research on these things. And I noticed that we have placed the office vacancy instead of the industrial vacancy. I have the book in front of me right now. We use the Johnson report, and I'm not going to change anything, but just to give you some comfort level, we would have gone something like the St. Boniface rate, which I'm looking at now, is 2.7%. The overall rate is 4.7%. So we just evened it out at in the middle, just to compensate for. It's not just the region, but it's the use, and that's how we came up with 3.7. And oh yeah, there was one other point I was going to make, and on page 57. When I talk about what investors are looking for, that's what they want. That's a high cube flex warehouse space, and it can be a second floor added if you want it, or it could, or a cube, a 27-foot tall clear space for trucking if you want that, in usually 60-foot bays, 60 by 100-foot bays, and that's what's called flex. So that's what the investor is chasing, not ours. Ours would be more characterized by a Class C or a Class D industrial grade. That's my presentation.
Okay, questions, Mr. Froelich?
Is it common to see a shortfall rate higher than the actual net rent that you reported on page 1 of your brief? You're reporting a shortfall of 608.
Yeah,
we higher than the net rent.
We took that from the statements, and I just wanted to quickly look. Let me just give me a chance here. So I see taxes and waste. That's 82,000, 90,000 with insurance, and probably in the neighborhood of 100,000 costs on 26,000 square feet. No, I agree with you. It's a bit lower than that. I think it's about in the low fours. I apologize. I didn't prepare this, and I see the error here in the workup in that the person who did this has got the utilities wrong and the tax rate wrong. So I can give you a recalculation. I would say at $4.
Okay. Before you do a recalculation, I got another question about your shortfall rate. So how did you come up with the $2.88 you have per square foot for property taxes?
Yeah, I already told you that's an error. That's where the error is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's 2 errors then on the shortfall?
Yeah. Well, what I did is when I went to reconcile it, I just kind of looked at the statement, and so on the statement on page 4, I was just looking at some of these costs. Now they don't have utilities here, so these costs equal a little under $100,000, and so utilities would probably run empty utilities. You got to maintain minimum heat, so you could be $450 a foot total, and so 450 times 26,000. Yeah, that's 117. So that's an allocation of about 27,000 for heat. Sounds about right. So it's just a workup error.
Yeah, because I noticed the same error taking place for all 3 briefs.
Oh, okay.
The actual taxes for this one was $1.81.
Yeah, no, and I'm not disagreeing.
Yep.
I just
no problem. I just wanted to share that with you. I do have another question though. So you report, so even though it's post-reference, but the rents are similar, and I'm not. That's why I didn't bring it up as an issue. Or I'm not bringing it up as an issue. You have an adjusted net operating income of 142,073, but on your brief you're having a net income of of 121. So there's a bit of a discrepancy there, don't you think?
Sorry,
Because
no,
you're
not in the
reporting.
least. No, not in the least. One is the potential income as full, and you yourself said it's full. So
Yeah.
you have to take a vacancy risk off the top. If we actually had vacancies in there, you're right. We would consider the impact of those vacancies on the NOI. You got two ways of going. You can go, if you got vacancies, you can look at the actuals and determine if that's reasonable or not. Or if it's full, you have to have an allowance. That's basic theory, basic appraisal. No issue there.
Well, that's a 15% difference though in the valuation though.
Well, every property
Yeah,
has a vacancy risk. Everyone.
yeah, I
Right.
understand that.
Your point's not appropriate.
Well, the point is we have a 1.5% vacancy on a property that hasn't been vacated in the past 10 years. So for you to be using higher vacancies not being
Well, that's not the way
reflective
it
of the
works now,
performance of the
is it?
building though. Well,
You
I'm
you
just
don't
making an observation.
you don't base it on where you're at the time. You base it on market. That's why we do market appraisals. So in front of me, I've got this book, the Johnson Report, which has got several hundred properties, and he's done an analysis. So you're buying a property, and you're going to look at this book and say, okay, today I'm full. What am I going to be when leases go up? I'm going to run the risk of vacancy. I make an allowance for it. This is appraisal 101. This is what they teach you the second day.
Okay, but Mr. Neufeld, if this is what I don't know if the panel members have this, the rebuttal evidence that you provided me, but on your general commentary on vacancy rates for the Eastern Quadrant, it's 1% that you've provided on your brief. This is the brief that I'm looking at here, panel members. I don't know if you could see.
Well, I'll certainly explain that when I have the
Yeah, all I'm
opportunity to
saying
present
is
it.
that you're using a vacancy of 3.5%, but your own documentation is showing a 1% vacancy in
No,
the city of
I'm sorry,
Winnipeg.
you're not reading the whole document.
Well,
Eh,
this is the highlight of the
no,
market overview.
I guess the camera's still on me, and I'm not looking at it. So this is the Johnson report, and
No, I'm referencing your rebuttal evidence that you sent me this morning, Mr.
this is what we take it from, and you can see that there's pages stuck together. There's
Okay.
10, 12 pages of industrial properties. So it's a very thorough look at the market. And anyone who's buying a property isn't saying, today I'm full. Uh, they're going to have a vacancy risk applied to it. And these other market reports are derived from the market you're chasing. Colliers is chasing the high grade industrial flex warehouse for logistics. And they're not chasing contractors' establishments. So we are talking about a different type of property. There's no issue here.
Well, the issue is, well, you're using the Collier's information for one aspect of your
Okay,
presentation.
let's just cut this short. I'm not talking about theory and sitting in my office and making a guess from looking at what someone else sent in. I'll go out and appraise the properties. This is real. This is how the market does it. And the act says we're following market value, not theoretical value.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Diamond, questions?
Yeah, so Mr. Neufeld, I noticed that the assessment department used properties for comparisons that were in the St. Boniface Industrial Park. I'm looking at your page, is it number 6, and you've got a lot of properties there. Are any of them in the St. Boniface Industrial Park?
Let me just look here. Well, Pandora abuts
No,
it.
Pandora is not in the, it's
Yeah, no,
across the, see this on the track.
It's abuts it, I said.
Pandora might be closer, but it's not.
Yeah, no, and there are the number of investment properties in St. B Industrial. I mean, we found that most of them are owner occupied. There are a handful, not denying it. Best answer I can give you on that is the hottest market now is Centerport in the Northwest.
Yeah, but the question I asked you is,
I get it. Yeah,
are
that's
these a
fine.
fair assessment of rents in the area? Or has the assessment department provided something that might be more accurate because it's in the area? That's what I'm asking you. That's all.
Okay, well, how about the most answers? The most accurate is what the subject property gets for itself. Somebody's operating their business and they're trying the best to make as much money as they can. That's their goal, and this is all they can get.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
All right, Ms. Schultz.
Just one question. In regards to the current tenants, how long have you said that the property is completely full, is that correct?
Yes.
And how long has these tenants been in that property?
I don't have all I have is what I presented you, and let me see. The assessor made a representation that they're long term, but I don't see that in his evidence. Um, I'm not sure. I don't disagree with him that most have been around a while.
Okay. So if they've been around a long time,
Well,
it's
the
completely full, but you
assessors,
have a vacancy rate
yeah.
of that that is considerably high, right?
No, see, like a high vacancy rate is going to be 8 or 9%, and a 1% is an artificially low rate on a market segment. I mean, it's you're taking this to the bank as an appraisal, and bank's going to laugh at you if you say 1% vacancy. I'm predicting they're going to say, let's see who your tenants are. What's the strength of their covenant? Is it the government of Canada, the province of Manitoba, who signed 20-year deals? If not, you have to put a vacancy rate on it. That's the market, and the Johnson report is the market's tool. And I'm
That's okay. I just wanted to know if you knew
we
how
should have
long
put it.
it's
You
been
should have
there.
put it in the report, but I can answer the overall Winnipeg is 4.7.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
All right. How did you calculate your non-recoverables? You got
That's
non-recoverables of 68.55. How did you determine that?
uh yes, good question. I didn't do this. I think it's 137,100. It's a 5% rate as opposed to what the city has at 3. That's 5% and 2%. And to show the support for it, of course, is the statement on page 4, which it's a lot of it is non-recoverable. We didn't use it all.
Okay. All right. I've got no further questions then. Do you have a rebuttal presentation as I understand it?
I did. It's for all of them, and it was just the general information I was bringing up, and we can you could talk about it now, or wait till the end. I just want to touch on it briefly on for all of them. It's just a question of the market in Winnipeg, and uh, part of the rebuttal is based on the answers the assessor has provided, and I want to make sure that I follow that I don't bring you anything new. Um, is it okay to wait till the last one and I'll spend like 30 seconds showing you what I had there?
Well, I would prefer that we do it now. I think procedurally that
Actually, in fairness, Mr. Chairperson, the rebuttal evidence for this property is not really applicable. Well, it could be. I know the other two pieces of rebuttal evidence are for the other two properties, so that's under your. Sorry for.
It's your call. I don't mind. I just whatever you'd like.
well, without knowing what the rebuttal evidence is, that's hard to make a call.
Okay.
It just there might be some repetition later. Yeah, on this. I think most of the rebuttal for all, like, it is a discussion about the marketplace in general, and there's one point on there I wanted to make, and then but a fair amount more of it is based on the Northwest Quadrant.
Okay, well, let's deal with it now. So it's
Sure. Okay. And that one is the one marked all, marked rebuttal for all, yes.
Okay, Crystal, can you put it in our SharePoint there?
It's in there for everybody.
Okay, I maybe have to refresh it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, applicant rebuttal for, yeah. Okay, yeah, all right.
Just tell me when you're ready.
And I've sent it to the assessor too, Mr. Chair.
I sent it to him this morning.
Okay, yeah, I see it there, okay, there's three of them there, so which one are you referring to?
The one that says the date rebuttal for all, September.
Mr. Chair, that would be the one that says, that's called applicant rebuttal dash 25275, semicolon 25278,
Okay, got it.
etc.
Yep, got it. Okay. Go ahead, Mr.
Thank
Neufeld.
you. So this is all from Collier's, and the first page is a map, and we no longer run small pieces. We run three sections of the city. And I had asked the assessor questions about using our report, his knowledge of it. And then there was another question from the board about comparing St. Boniface rents. Now our brokers now have split Manitoba, the capital region, into three areas, and you can see that it goes well outside the perimeter highway. And this is how we now view that the marketplace. This is when people are looking for properties or selling them, this is what they're dealing with. And then on the second page, on the right-hand column, first paragraph, is what I wanted to point out. Older, large bay industrial space coming back on the market at a significantly lower rate is not reflective of actual market conditions. Now, it's true, older, large bay industrial is coming back at a lower amount. Now, I had to clarify that this morning with the person who wrote it. And at the end of the page, this was Troy Buchanan, one of the brokers who wrote it. And just to clarify that what he was talking about, significant at the market, he means new build construction in Centerport. So that is the primary market these days. And then the rest of these properties are not indicative of the market that we're looking at and dealing with. And all of these rates here, these market reports, these you can see that there's breakdowns by the what's the word for quadrant when it's three, trident? I don't know. Trident. There are slightly different rates, rental rate growth and vacancy rates, but this is all about high cube logistics space, not about contractors' establishments with low ceilings. And what this is, so what the assessor is using when he's quoting outside sources is he's not talking about the same product. This gives you an idea of the product that a modern report is following. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay, any questions on that, Mr. Froelich?
No, well, the documentation that Mr. Neufeld's provided is consistent with regards to the subject property in terms of vacancy, and the rents that we're using is below what's in the documentation provided by Mr. Neufeld. So I have no further questions.
All right, Ms. Schultz, any questions?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Diamond?
I have no questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. So I guess that concludes.
Can I give my correction here? I apologize. The assessor correctly pointed out an error.
Okay, go ahead.
I've just reduced that shortfall to 450 a square foot, comes to a NOI of, I didn't write it down. The value is 1644275. There was, I think, a $1,600 change in the shortfall. and I apologize for that. 1644 is our new number.
Okay, you got that. All right, so that concludes then this property. So I better write down that new number. 644, you said?
1644, yes.
Okay. All right, let's move to 1395 Niagara Road East. So, Mr. Froelich, you can begin your presentation on this one.
Give me 1 sec, Mr. Chairperson. File numbers 25278. Roll number 0604042500. Assessed value we have for this property is $2,133,000. Property was built in 1978. We have a wall height of 20 feet. We have a land area of 263,637. We have a plan area of 15,000 square feet, and we have a land to building ratio of 17.58 to 1. We're asking that the value be confirmed. I've never inspected this property, but my members of my department and theirs have been, and we were also able to find some pictures from a previous listing. So the pictures are on page 2, where it's located at. So it's in the southeast quadrant. It's just east of La Jamodier on off of Fermor. The leasable rate that they were asking for was $12.95 at the time, and this is a 2021 listing. Excellent location near major Winnipeg routes. We have a clear height of 17.8. And so when we look at that, then they were pretty close with our 2 feet differentiation between our exterior wall height and what they reported for the clear height of 17.8. SEM1 zoning, there's 3 grade doors, there's 3-phase power with 600 volts and 400 amps. Heating's listed, and additional features includes a 6.1 acres of land, 3,500 square feet of office space, ample parking, and a fenced compound. The list property taxes $1.98 a square foot. On page 4, there's a general layout of what the property looks like. With regards to pictures. Page 5 says the general location of the property. And page 6 is from what one of my peers have done when they inspected the property in 2021. So you have some pictures on page 6 of the exterior and the interior. As you can see, the office is in it's good condition, good shape, which is why they're asking the rent that they're asking. Page 8 and 9 shows some additional office space where a lunchroom is and the general warehouse space on the bottom of page 9. And page 10 and 11 also have pictures shown of the warehouse space. And also on page 12. Property owners have been compliant with regards to income and expense ratio, income and expense mailers. They're reporting a rental income of $142,500. They're getting general recoveries of $13,500 and property taxes of $24,000. And let me just pull up some information here. So I believe, yeah, the taxes are consistent with the 197 with regards to the 29,158. When I figured my calculations, it was comparable to what they were showing on their brief, on their lease listing. And here they show the annual expenses with regard to the not operating income of $98,557. And here's on the page 14, shows that the one lease that works out to $9.50 a square foot. What we have on page 15, here's our workup based on 15,000 square feet. We're using a model rent of $688 to come up with $103,200. using a 1.5% vacancy, 3% expenses, 4% shortfall. We have a net operating income of 97,702. Utilizing a 6.45% cap rate, you come up with a value of 1,514,760. We also have the additional land area of $618,000 for this property. Because if you look at it from the pictures, and you'll end up seeing the pictures in my brief later on, there's a significant portion of it that can be used as excess land for future development. And there's similar properties on Niagara Road that's the same. That is the same size. So that's how we came out with the million of 2,133,000. My rent comparables. So what I've tried to do here is, because it's not the St. Boniface Industrial Park and it's a bit more unique. So I got comparables on Erin, on Inkster, St. James, Notre Dame, and Church. I couldn't take the St. Boniface Industrial Park because the subject property is not an industrial park, so that's why I didn't choose comparables that are not in the subject, that are not in industrial park. The leases are from 2015 all the way to 2022. The ranges are from 1 year to 10 years. The areas we have here is between 10,000 square feet up to 19,000 square feet. Wall heights vary between 14 feet up to 21 feet. Effective year built between 1956 and 1974. And we have a range of rents between $7 and $8.81. Land sales comparables. So what I've done here with regards to land sales, and what I've done is I'm going to refer to page 18 and 19 first, and then I'll go to my comparables. So in 18, the total size of the building from 2024, the land, is 263,637. That's the entire area. And the area that I'm proposing that is eligible for with regards to subdividing is on the western portion of the building, which is highlighted on page 19. So the surplus land that I have for this portion is 96,640. This will not impact the subject property that is sold off. All portions of the lot have been used. All portions of the lot have been used over the years. And so what happens, there is an issue with regards to the southern portion, the southwest portion of the lot. There seems to be a bit of uneven surface, but the majority of the property does have the potential for redevelopment. And that's why I felt the 639 a square foot would be sufficient enough with regards to potential development and being sold off. So what I've done here is, so I have the subject property of the vacant parcel that could be sold off as a separate unit as excess land. It's 96,640, which works out to 2.218 acres, and it comes up with $6.39 a square foot. I have 4 comparables. They're all in the eastern part. One's on Provencher, 2 are on Niagara Road, which are very close to the subject property, and one's on Dugald. The Provencher property is not perfect because it's a unique property. So what I will do is I'll explain to the pictures. I'll give the general information with regards to the sizes. And then what I'll do is then I'll go through the range and I'll talk about each individual property. And then we could go back and forth. So the ranges are between 44,000 and 62,000, or almost 63,000 square feet. We're listed as M1. The other properties are M3, M1, M3, and M1. They've been sold between 2018, and 2021. And the ranges are from $7.48 all the way to $10.28. I've explained to you the thought processes on page 18 and 19 with regards to how we come up with this. And I do believe that the frontage, and I don't know if I have it here, but when I measured the frontage for this unit, the frontage for of this property is 83 feet. When I did look at it. So on page 20, what I've done here is on the bottom part of page 20, I've showed the parcel of land. It's an overhead picture of the lot, and then 1389 is a separate parcel, and it's a bit smaller. So what I've done in both of these situations here is the 2012 picture is just showing how much land is eligible to get redeveloped. That wouldn't affect the property. And if you look at my parcel compared to the parcel beside it at 1389, my excess land property is actually larger than the property here that's been developed. The bottom picture on page 20 shows the 1998 picture of the property, and it is showing that the lot is being used. So comparable one on Provencher, that's the unique parcel with the unique shape at the end of it. So this parcel sold for $7.48 a square foot in 2019, and it's so at the end it sort of nods off. So the front portion of it is square, and then towards the end it sort of tails off as a little tail. Comparable 2 is on the Aqua Road, which is very close to the subject property. That property sold for $7.62 in January of 2019, 59,000 square feet. Comparable 3 is on Dougal Road, which is just west of Dougal and Lagimodiere. There's the parcel there that sold for $10.28 a square foot. And then comparable 4 is just east of the subject property, which was land that sold for $9.13 a square foot. So on page 23 just shows you the overall valuation of the 1,514,760 plus the 618 comes up with 2,133,000. And on page 24 is our cap rate information, and I am open to questions. Thank you.
All right, questions, Mr. Neufeld.
Okay, sorry, just checking what's on. Yeah, just starting in order here. Page 2, you're saying this is a listing from 2021?
That's correct.
Okay. And on page 3, yes, page 3, the bottom it says additional features, 6.1 acres. Is that the total size of the lot?
Yes, it would be.
So the offering includes 6.1 acres then, correct?
The offering does, but what I'm saying is,
Okay, let's just move
let me
on.
finish. If the property owner wanted to,
Sorry, are you talking about facts, speculation?
Mr. Neufeld, let him
I don't
answer the
think so.
question. He
he's-
doesn't have to give you the answer you want. He just has to
I don't
answer the
want the
question.
answer. I'm asking the facts here. I don't
Well,
want to ask his assumption.
Mr.
in my
Neufeld, let
opinion,
him answer the question as he
in
sees
my
fit.
opinion, the fact is that this property has the potential for redevelopment and sold off as a future use. So that's the answer.
Does the offering for lease include 6.1 acres or not?
That's what it says in the document in front of me.
Okay. Then on page page 13, this was 12 months ending 12/31/2022. It's now showing that the property is leased. Do you have any reason to believe that the lease isn't for the whole site?
I don't have access to the lease, so I can't comment on the lease.
Okay. And just to be fair, I'm not asking you to introduce any evidence. But I did communicate with you on this subject, correct?
Yes, you did, but
Okay, that's fine. We don't have to get into the details. I just want to make sure we're playing fair here.
Yep.
And on page 14, that is not the correct tenant, is it?
no, you told me that the tenant has changed.
Yeah, well, this one says start date January 1st, 1986, end date 0001. I guess it's just not an entry there. But that was the former owner, or were you aware of that?
That's what you told me.
Okay, no, it's
and
fine.
in fairness, Mr. Neufeld, like the BA is listed to a different company altogether.
Yeah, that's right. So we were all aware that it was a little bit different. Okay. Now when this page 15, there's a land value put here. Who makes this decision? Is this the model?
Well, it's based on highest and best use of the property. And when we see situations where we believe that there's potential for redevelopment or whatever the highest and best use of the property is, we will make
Yeah,
a
but
decision.
is this the model doing it, or is there a particular assessor who's done an override?
Well, it's not an override.
It's how the model generates it, and it's based.
Well,
Okay,
we believe that this parcel has potential for development. We've made the decision as a department to add it as excess land, which has potential to be sold off.
and how many years has this department been making this decision to treat it as excess land?
Well, it's gone back and forth because I think from 2012, because when I was going through the documentation, I was looking through the information in your briefs stating that this property wasn't used to be developed, and I couldn't find anything in your actual
But
brief.
I was just asking what the department did. Did the department have they consistently, since we'll use the date you had, 2012, treated this as land that they believe
Well,
has value?
board decisions in the past.
I'm asking what the department did.
In 2017, one of the assessors went to this property, and he determined that this parcel of land of March of 2017, he determined that this property has development for as excess
Oh,
land and can be redeveloped.
I'm talking about the individual, when the assessments came out on these reassessment years, has not the department every year added a value for additional land?
No. What has happened here is that the board decisions, and the board's right to make their
Well,
opinion.
it's not what I'm asking.
Well, the point is that we haven't changed our valuation approach to this property.
Okay, that's your answer. That's good enough. That's all I was wondering. And I was writing down something that I just want to clarify something. You mentioned redevelopment or development. Which one are you saying?
Well, there's the property has the potential for expansion. The property for a new development. So it could be either redevelopment or a brand new development that they sold off.
Okay, and if it were
Here's a great example of this that we've had in the past, Mr. Youth Building, and you're involved with car dealerships. We've had situations in the past where there's been a very small building on a very large parcel of land, and it was beyond our standard 8-to-1 ratio for land to building ratios. You've argued that there was no value to this excess land, and then there is a redevelopment that they can place on these excess parcels of land. So we believe as a department that this
Yes.
parcel has the potential.
My question was very, very narrow. I just wanted you to clarify both, and you said both. And so the follow-up on that was, if you were considering redevelopment, do you not have to make an allocation for demolition?
Oh, okay. When I say redevelopment, my interpretation of redevelopment is expansion.
Okay. Now, then you went on to discuss how you believed it could be sold off. So where in your report have you put your extraordinary assumptions on the ability to sell it?
What we've done here is we've done a general guidelines with regards to it. We haven't gone into depth with regards to that.
So, but there's nowhere in your report that discusses the extraordinary assumptions with getting land to development, is there?
No, there's not.
Okay. And what would be the first thing to do if you were trying to sell it off?
Well, it all depends on the circumstance. The first thing there are many steps, and I'm not completely familiar with the steps, but I think eventually a replot at some point.
Okay. Now, when you do a replot, you create additional lot. And where's the cost of dedication in your report?
What we've noticed with regards to land sales that have taken place in the past is when land sales transfer, those land sales, that's buyer A, so there's a purchaser and a seller, And what happens is this is a net dollar amount for the property. The new owner who purchases the property would be development of that would be an extra cost that he would take with regards to developing that property.
Well,
So
in this
that's
case, we have one individual owner who has a parcel of land. In order to bring it to market, he would have to pay dedication fees, correct?
if he chose to do that, yes.
No, there's no way out of dedication fees, are there?
Nope, that's correct.
Okay.
He would have to go through the process.
So if I own 6 acres and I want to sell 3 and I want to put it on the market, regardless of what I sell it for, I've got to put up the dedication fees first, correct?
Yeah, but he could also incorporate that into the sale price.
Well, it's a cost. And
It's a cost, and it could be recovered in the sale price.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be critical of you here, but I don't think you understand the development process. You got to spend money to make money, and you got to pay fees. So, but there's a dedication, correct?
Yep, there are costs involved with regards to redeveloping land.
And what about civic approval? Do you need civic approval to do development here?
There's always issues with regards to zoning, yes.
Does it have civic approval for a subdivision and redevelopment?
Not that I know of.
So you're making the assumption that that is going to happen then, right?
There's a comparable property just east of the subject property that's already gone through that process. So there has been a precedent set with regards to this property potentially being used for development.
Well, did you check with property and planning what the process was if you wish to subdivide and put a property up? Did you ask them?
Yeah, I actually asked them if they had.
And did you? Sorry, let me. Did you ask them if it could be? Did you ask them if it could be done?
Yes, I did.
And what was their answer?
They said yes. There's
no.
Nothing.
That's not their answer. Their answer is always the same.
Yeah.
Make an application.
Yeah, but the point is, of course, there's the application process.
Okay.
But when I asked, let me finish, sir. When I asked the question to planning, property, and development, I said, do you foresee or there's anything that would inhibit this property from being potentially redeveloped? And they are developed, and they did.
And are they here to testify to that? Because I don't believe that's true. They always tell me the same thing.
I'm under oath, Mr.
Okay, well, listen. They tell us the same thing all the time. Make an application.
Yeah, well,
we're not telling you anything until you make an application.
That is correct.
Okay. And did you talk to private approaches? Will they grant one?
Well, there's an access point right off the property.
Well, if you're subdividing it, you need a second approach. What would the approach be?
I think it would just probably potentially be the continuation of what it is right now.
You don't have an answer from, like, you're aware of private approaches is a different department, correct?
I am not aware of that.
Okay. Now, physically, have you inspected these lands?
Just from what I've been able to look at from pad eye view.
Okay.
And my colleague's inspection of the property in 2017.
Well, first of all, I'm going to object if you bring up anything of that, because that would be hearsay, and I was with Steve when it happened. So if you want to ask me a question, that would be different because I was there.
Well, the point is it's documented in our notes.
Well, did you provide those notes as evidence?
I'm under oath, sir.
Did you provide those?
I read these notes.
Okay.
I had shared this information with regards to your son.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're clarifying this now. So have you?
Do I need to provide an email?
Have you spoken to a civic engineer to determine what work the land needs?
No, I didn't go that far in my evaluation.
So you didn't determine if it had load bearing capability or if it required fill?
No, I did not.
And did you ask the property owner to the north whether they would be opposed? And that would be the railway line?
Well, depending upon the development, that may not impact the type of development. There's a lot of hypotheticals that you're bringing here, Mr. Neufeld. And the point is, and my reference point is the property that I have just east to it that I've shown on my brief on page On page 20.
Okay, just one second here. Page 20. And page 20 is the parcel on the which parcel is this?
This is a different parcel that's owned by another
No,
company.
no, I know, but is it the one where the red dot is on?
No,
Which one is it?
it's the one where the building is on the.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking above. What's the street address? Is it 1389?
1389 is the, yes.
Okay, so this was purchased in that building. When was that put up?
That building's been put up since 98.
98. Did you measure the distance from the back of the building to the rail yard, to the first line?
I did not measure that, but what I'm stating, sir, is a similar property could get developed on the parcel, on the vacant parcel.
You're aware of that the rail line is going to insist on 330 meters of separation between their line and a building?
That's what you've informed me of.
So you're not aware
But the point is, if I want to do the measurement, I'm pretty sure that the measurement would be within the range of that.
Well, I'm not disagreeing. 1389 is outside the 330 meters
Yeah.
because it's further away from the rail line.
Yep.
But what about the subject?
If it's built in the same location, then I don't see anything preventing it from being redeveloped.
If you took off the rearage land that's within that 330 meters, how much land is left over?
How much land is left over?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have that calculation in front
Okay,
of me.
but it's a couple of acres out of the 6 in that ballpark, right?
Well, the point is, it's the total land size is 96,000 square feet. So what happens here, it's just over 2 acres. So probably 1 acre has the potential for development of a building, and one acre has the ability to be within regulations with regards to the rail lines requirements.
You've obviously seen my measurements, and you see that I've measured the 330 meter setback and to be approximately 2 acres, which leaves about 4 acres for the subject. Now, if this was only 4 acres of land, would the city's model have called it excess land?
Well, this is what we've done, and this is what we believe is to be.
I'm just, do you know if this was only showing a 15,000 square foot building on 4 acres of land, would the model have then called it excess land? Do you know?
Well, but what we're looking at here is that the land size here that we only have for this property is 15,000 square feet, and the total, so the 4:1 building ratio would be 60,000 square feet in total. So that allows us 203,000 square feet of excess and surplus land here. So when it came to that calculation, I still left a significant amount of area for the subject property. So out of the total size of 93,000 square feet that I've used for excess land for this property, the subject property that we're talking about today still has 150,000 square feet of property. So if we're actually doing that, so if we're going, get my calculator here. We still have almost 2 acres.
Okay, now I'm not going to ask this to be disrespectful, but just to be fair, you've never been involved in a project like this on a redevelopment, have you?
No, I have not.
Okay. And the building was built in 1978. Do you know what the bylaw of the city was for gravel lots at that time?
I'm not familiar with that.
And you're aware that subsequent to that the city requires all lots to be paved? Because they don't want gravel tracked onto their roads?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. So you never looked into the cost of having to additionally pave lands then?
No, I do not.
meet the new bylaw. Okay. Um, and of your comparables, do any of them? I'm looking at pictures. I don't see an influence of rail in any of these. Are there?
Well, number 4 would,
Number 4. Where's sorry? What page is that?
page 22.
22. With top picture or bottom picture?
Bottom picture.
Bottom picture.
And just let me just
Oh,
check.
okay. So this is yes, I'm familiar with it. Now you bring this up. Who's the purchaser?
Oh, it was
The hotel next door, correct?
yeah, for sure.
To build a restaurant on for their hotel, correct?
Yep.
That's called assemblage, isn't it?
Well, it is, but it's still the property still sold.
Yes, but he purchased it for what's called assemblage value. That are you suggesting that's the same as market value?
No,
Okay, and
but he's a motivated buyer though. All buyers are motivated to purchase properties. Like obviously he was
well,
interested in that.
now on the question of uh, um, what is the definition of value you're using for this excess land?
Def-
Like you're basing it on these assumptions that it can be developed. Isn't that called a prospective appraisal based on extraordinary assumptions that something can be done?
well, there are many examples with regards to that the city of Winnipeg has dealt with situations where we've had excess or surplus land where there has been potential for development, and we believe this one is.
I'm just wondering about the act, the Municipal Assessment Act. It says market value. It doesn't say hypothetical value based on extraordinary assumptions that come
No,
true.
well,
Correct?
we've come up with a market value for this property based on comparable properties that are in the region.
Now, in your experience, have you ever been involved with a property where you either were involved in the decision or you were aware of a decision that the land should not be considered accessible?
Accessible?
Yes,
Uh,
because of the physical and legal restrictions on it.
I'm sure I've come across situations like that. Not that I could think of, but I'm sure there are situations like that. Yes.
Okay, those are my questions.
Okay, Mr. Diamond, any questions?
So, Mr. Neufeld, I guess we're basically on this excess land. And is it your position that this excess land has no value?
Well, you have to ask Mr. Froelich that right now.
No, I'm asking you that right now.
I'm waiting. I'm
Oh,
waiting
Well,
my turn.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry,
Mr.
I'm asking Mr.
Diamond.
Fro. You're absolutely sorry. I'm ahead of myself. You're absolutely right, Mr.
Yeah.
Neufeld. I apologize.
That's fine.
Yeah, you lulled me into anyway, Mr. Froelich, yeah, well, obviously you don't take that position so I don't think it's an appropriate question for you because I think you've answered already. So I don't think I have any questions, Mr. Froelich. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Ms. Schultz.
No questions at this time, thank you.
Okay, I don't think I have any questions that haven't been asked and answered as well. So, Mr. Neufeld, you can begin your presentation.
Yes, thank you. And first, I'm going to. I was rereading this report, and I don't think we can. I think we should change our valuation numbers on the building. I just. I don't have an issue with the assessor's potential income. As a matter of fact, we think it should be just a touch higher at $7 a foot. But I'll give you the verbal breakdown of this, and I didn't really want to be at this hearing today. It was supposed to be Ayrton, and he was supposed to deal with it. So he did this up, and I disagree with it. I just want to see how far I disagree with it to see if we need, how much we need to debate on this. Um, I don't debate anything on the assessor's workup up to the end of his NOI. I came up with a number that was slightly lower, but I don't think we would have brought it into the board had we had done this. I see that the paid income, my workup on it, I'm at about 105,000, and I did speak to the owner after the fact just to make sure my numbers were correct. So we had $7 a foot. We had a lower vacancy. So we can live with 97,702, and then just going up to the capitalization rate. The difference there is same thing I said before. This is essentially it's a contractor's establishment. It's not primary investment real estate, and we stick with 7.75%. And I think the clarity on that from our perspective is pretty good. So our number that we're requesting, 97,702 at 0.775, is 1,261,000, and that's our total value. And in regard to the land itself, I this is proper rebuttal because we weren't aware that they were going to do it. So most of my information will be in the rebuttal on this land. But just from verbally, I can tell you that since 2012, there has been no excess land value on this. Whether it doesn't matter what method was used to achieve it, there has never been an excess land value on it. And it's been a consistent decision over the years. And the reasoning is that the land is got many problems with it. We would start with the rail, and I'll get into that on the rebuttal. But I'd asked the assessor some questions about it, and he brought up the sale of that other one in Aqua. And I've got my little tool here, Google Earth, and that restaurant that I mentioned is actually outside the influence zone of the rail yard. So they're not impacted by the setback. They're further away. There is a rail set, and this rail setback is not in the bylaw. What it is, it's something that the rail companies and several municipalities, most municipalities, are agreeing with, and it was after the Lac Megantic disaster, 330 meters from a rail yard. And what that means is when you go and request a development permit with the city of Winnipeg, they show up and say, no, we do not agree with it, and we will fight you on it. So maybe the city's going to grant it. I doubt it, because nobody's going to go and say we want to be closer when there's a safety issue. And there's a consistency with all the new builds. The buildings in the picture, you can see I've just measured them all. They're all outside the 330 meter setback from that active rail line. The rest of the land is unfinished and not load bearing. And the inspection that the assessor discussed was myself and Steve Alden on site. And I got a bootful that day as I walked into a puddle. That's why I remember it so well. But you need to support a semi-trailer. You need about 8 inches of gravel and about 6 inches of concrete. And now you need concrete because of the bylaw. And again, I had the documentation in the rebuttal. So this just the broad strokes of the valuation. From what we had, then there's really not much more for me to say, except the capitalization rate again. Same issue I brought up earlier, and I'm going on my page 55, 56, and 57. So this would definitely be a Class D as far as the industrial world is concerned. This is not an investment property. This is not something a REIT wants. This is not something that a pension fund wants. It's something that a small investor may want, and he'll push for a higher yield on it. But it's not a great building. It's not a great location, and So that is our number request, and I'll deal with and sorry, just as a general idea, the value of land is not based on how much dirt is there. It's based on rights. What right do you have? And I think if anybody's going to come along and tell you land has value, you better prove that you have the right to do it. And it's not just, I think so. I'm an appraiser. If I wrote that in an appraisal, I'd get sued. We would have to make an extraordinary assumption. We'd have to have a discussion with the planner. We'd have to explain what the problems were. And we can't put a value on it. Anyway, thank you very much. I'll wait till the rebuttal for the rest of my story.
Okay. Question to Mr. Froelich?
After the inspection, why did Steve Alden continue to put excess land as a valuation, part of the valuation process with this property after spending time with you?
That's an interesting question.
If I can interject here, I don't think Mr. Neufeld has any way of knowing what
I
Mr.
do.
Alden.
Yes, I do. But the point is, this is something that occurred in private, and if I got ordered by the board to tell you, I would. But the assessor is asking me. I think I wouldn't answer it because you get into these discussions, and there's a privacy thing. You make deals.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. It's just like as an outsider looking in,
You're not an outsider, though. You know what happened.
Well, I knew that he continued to put land value on this property, and I'm following his decision-making process. And so that's why
I got what I wanted. What can I say? I don't care about how you got there.
Well, no, okay. No other questions.
Okay, Ms. Schultz, questions?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Mr. Diamond?
So, Mr. Neufeld, you've indicated that there's a 330 meter setback required from the rail line now, and
Yes.
that's the rail's requirements, or is it the city or the municipality?
No, in 2013, the rail companies and the municipalities, the Canadian group, there's a group of the Canadian Municipal Association, published a joint recommendation for a 330 meter setback. Some places have adopted it, some have not. Winnipeg is not, because the issue hasn't come up, because we're an old city and the rail is already in place. For new development, it's going to come up. And, if you consider where in Winnipeg have you seen beside a rail line the relaxation of this rule since Lac Mégantic, it hasn't happened. They come in and they present as opponents to anything outside this setback, and it's a private thing. I've come up against it in our transactions. Now it doesn't. Now get this straight. Say if it's a spur, you can waive it because the spur is to serve a property and it's low speed. A regular rail line is less. It's I got to remember the number here. It's 200 feet, so 60 meters. And but this is an active rail yard. So that's 330 meters. Now the city has a crossing. Say if you're on Pembina Highway, the Letellier line that runs there, they will have put in a 30 meter setback for that one because everybody's already within it.
And this rail line, this is not the CNR main line, is it?
This is the yard.
Okay.
This is the actual yard, and I'm looking at an aerial of it, and I'm right behind the subject property. There's, holy smokes, I can't even count them all. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, maybe 70 rail lines.
Okay. And this is so a yard has got slow moving traffic. It doesn't have
no, it is slow moving, but the regulations that they want are 4 yards.
Okay. So if you can't use the property to build an actual building, you can still use it for other purposes.
Well, what's going to happen is the rail line will come along and say we're opposed to it, and for safety reasons. And what you can see sometimes is some people put outside storage on it.
Yeah.
And there's an outside storage one. I've got a measurement here at actually there's no building built within 280 meters of this, but there's some outside storage that's closer.
Yeah. And I asked you the question before, and I think I know what your answer is, but I guess I should ask you because now I can. So your position is that this property, the section land, has no value? Is that what it's?
I think that the transactions we've seen on it, the rent, have shown what people are willing to pay for it with 6 acres that are of a low degree of utility, and I think that value is encompassed in the paid rent. It's not much, and it might be aesthetic value. I guess I don't think either of us gave you a real good aerial photograph of the yard. Nobody is within 330 meters of the track. Now, my picture just barely touches on it. You can see top right-hand corner is the beginning of the track.
I guess my question was, though, you're saying this again, are you still maintaining it's of no value? Or are you conceding it has some value? And if that's the case, what value do you attribute to it?
Nothing. I can't, because it's a value.
You answered my question then. You said
value.
Nothing. You answered my question. That's fine.
Yeah, but let me quickly finish. Value is based on legal rights. If you don't have legal rights, how can you have value?
Okay, so are you saying then if the registered owner applied for and got a subdivision, had a separate title for it, it would still have no value?
No, if he asked for a subdivision,
and had a separate title for it,
and he asked for title for it, that's a different process than planning. Then you have to go to planning and ask for a development permit.
No, I understand, but the potential is there, though. Correct? He could ask for a separate title, so there is potential for that land.
I don't know. I haven't investigated it, because one of the things is, I can give you a cursory view of it. If we're looking at M1, and I think I put the zoning in here, minimum lot sizes and frontages, page, bottom of page 17. So it's M1. You got a minimum front yard is good, side corner yards, so you have to have interior side is nothing, floor area ratio. Yeah, so yeah, I don't think there's anything from planning that would prohibit a subdivision. It's just whether or not it's practical.
Okay. Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, Ms. Jules, did I ask you if you had questions?
I'm good, thank you. No questions at this time.
Okay, so your revised value is 1,261,000. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'll use the assessor's NOI and 7.75% cap rate.
All right. So then I have no more questions. So you said you had a rebuttal.
Yes, I do. And it's marked. I marked it 1395 Niagara rebuttal.
Yeah, I think we have it. These are the series of board orders.
Yeah, just some background.
Okay.
Not going to waste time on them. Just go through them. The last one was the most recent one, 1751 to 1481, and you can see that the agreement on this was a verbal recommendation at the board, and essentially, again, it was verbal. We agreed with it, and I got what I wanted, and how we arrived at it is not my problem. That's their internal issue to deal with, but it effectively takes off the excess land. Same thing happened with the 2020 order, 1.677 to 1204. And I've attached the original workup. Same thing. It was a removal of this excess land. I don't care how it got there. You know, that's I don't think there's a mystery there. The next board order. Now I'm on. Oh, sorry, I didn't page this, but this is the 2018 order, and this one said no additional land value assigned. That was the board order. And going back to the 2016, it says a adjusted. It was a removal of $600,000. The board ordered. They didn't reference why or how, but it was removal of land value. The 2014 one says here, based on exclusion of excess land adjustment. And then going all the way back to the 2012, it says based on disallowing the city's adjustment. So this has been an issue since day one that we've had to always bring in this excess land. And give you an idea, the pictures below show the condition of the land. And I took these pictures with Mr. Alden when we went out and struck our deal. And okay, it's the 14th page. This is just some calculations, and I showed it below. This land is not weight bearing. It's land in C2. It's mush. It's marsh. So I consulted with a contractor, and he said 8 to 12 inches of gravel and 6 to 8 inches of paving, and that's the number I came up with, 808,000 to fix the acreage that the assessor says has value. And it really doesn't matter where it is on the site. That's what all the land is like. Now, on page, there's a sort of a sketch. That's the first one. It's got an irregular shape. And in this irregular shape, I've worked out 2.2 acres, which is roughly what the assessor had said was his excess, and marked out kind of a sketch of where it was and what would have to be done with it. And my reasoning for it was more than just a pictorial demonstration. There's two factors involved with this. First is I've only highlighted green area. So the green area needs stone and paving. That was the number of 808,000. Now, the next, then there's paving only, and the paving only is the picture below, and it's built land that's immediately north of the building. So what the bylaw now says is you cannot track gravel onto city streets because it destroys the streets. So that gravel portion at the back has to be paved if you're going to subdivide it and use it. So that would be another cost, which we estimate around $196,000. That's the new bylaw. So it's just impractical. Who's spending $1 million for this? And I got the cost from Marshall and Swift, and just for the record, I have done a fair amount of these costings for developments in private practice, not for the board. This is what you pay. You're going to pretty much count on if you're into paving, $6 to $8 a foot, and then there's preparation. You have to scrape the top of it to flatten it and get the loose fill out and replace it with that gravel. There's a local multiplier page. There's a picture that shows the yard to be paved, and I took this picture. This is the gravel yard behind the building, and just to show it is gravel, that would have to be paved. I put the private access bylaw, just the front page in there, just to tell you what the authority was on this, on having to now deal with the paving. The setback, which I measured, is marked setback, and it's toward, I think it's like the second last page, and And there's a yellow line which shows the extent of the 330 meters into the yard, and then I boxed it off to show the shape. And oh, I didn't give you that measurement, but it's approximately 2 acres. I just left the 200 foot setback on there. Now the 200, there's two setbacks. The 201, this is the city setback, 200 feet from a rail line. Now, the other one that the rail lines want is 330 meters from the rail line. And I've drawn the line there to show where that ended up. And you can see, as I was saying earlier about the restaurant, how they made do with the restaurant, and they could develop and put one up outside that 330 meter line. Sorry, 300 meters. Oh, no wonder I got that wrong. Okay, back that line up. It's 300 meters. I couldn't read this quite properly. So it's the FCM and RAC. FCM is the municipal organization, Canadian Municipal Federation of Canadian Municipalities. RAC is the rail lines. This is what they want now, and the problems with it are so huge that if somebody came to you and said it had value as a board, they should be presenting you with development approval to prove that point. That's what I'm getting at. If it has value or not, it's not for us to guess and make assumptions. You should be given proof that it can be done, because in my mind, there's far too much doubt that anything can be done with it. And the board isn't here to make assumptions, to validate assumptions, to do something that requires an extraordinary assumption that it can be done. We're here to deal with facts. And the fact is that none of this land has been developed. It's been sitting there green, and on the subject lands, it's been sitting there green since 1978, because it's not worth the money to fill it in. And if you do fill it in, you're going to have problems getting a proper use out of it. And of course, market conditions haven't been strong enough to justify paying $800,000 an acre for the land, because then you could do it. Then there is money in it. Even the assessor's market comps show that there isn't enough money in the land now to bring it to market. There's a tipping point that it hasn't reached. It's cost more to bring it to market than you're ever going to get out of it. So that's the answer to the question earlier. What does it have any value? Not with its current condition and the current market value of land. And that's my presentation.
Okay, questions on the rebuttal, Mr. Froelich?
Yes, okay. So in Mr. Neufeld's on page 1, he shows that there's a reduction in land value of just 1,751,000 minus 1,461. There's a $290,000 reduction in the 2023 appeal, yet the land value we had a land value of $468,000. So, Mr. Neufeld, would you not say that the land value is at least worth $150,000 based on a value that you accepted verbally?
No, there were changes made to the well, if you take a look at the building, like today we were saying $7 a foot, and back then you had it at $5.85. There was room to move there.
So, but the point is that your valuation in 2023 was, just bear with me for 1 sec.
I don't think that anything is going to come out of trying to parse these decisions and look for a number, because, as you know, when we have our discussions off the record, there's some give and take. Yep. I was happy the land value was removed, and that's what I'd like to say.
Okay, but the point is, in both the 2023 and the 2020 value, the value of land and the reduction don't coincide.
Part of this concept of removing the land, let me just clarify this a bit, is if a question got asked, isn't it worth something? Well, they put this land on the market, the whole 6.1 acres, and they got a value of $105,000 in rent. So possibly somebody did pay a bit more for the land, but it's been covered in the rent. And that's the fair way to put it. You can't just artificially say, I'm going to add acreage and a cost to it because I think it's worth developing. You would never do that. That's not legal to do on a legal. That's not the right word. I'm sorry. It's not. I'd get kicked out of the institute if I did that. Just putting a value on because I'm guessing. Now, if I came along and said, I think you can get more rent for it because you got all this land, that's reasonable, and that's what happened here.
But the
That's
rent,
why we're agreeing to 105,000. That's because that's what was paid. It was tested in the market.
yeah, but in that aspect of the valuation process, we're undervalued because if we're using actuals, then it would have been say $8.50 a square foot, not the $7 that you're using.
No, I calculated out. My calculation was 105,000. I could walk you through it if you'd like.
Well,
Well, if we can get these are board orders. They are not they have little value for this because we don't know what evidence they were based on and all that sort of thing. So we haven't heard the evidence, and we're not about to start hearing the evidence from like 5 years ago or whatever. So they have little value without knowing what evidence they were presented.
I guess my comment is in these situations is that the value that Mr. Neufeld is looking for here is below the previous assessment. And if there's a value of if there's some value that's been attributed to land, if it's not even our value, there must be some value associated with it. And because there is the potential for it to be developed in some use or form. And so my question is that there's a contradiction with regards to what has happened in the past and what has Mr. Neufeld agreed to and what's actually been stated today. And I just want to point that out to the board. No further questions.
Okay, Ms. Schultz, any questions on the rebuttal?
No questions, thank you.
And Mr. Diamond.
Okay, so just to make it clear, Mr. Neufeld, the city has assessed the additional land at $618,000, and you basically said that it has no value. And I'm going to suggest, probably not. There's potential, maybe way down the road, but there's potential. Wouldn't that be worth something now? Maybe a nominal amount, but certainly the potential that could be subdivided someday down the road and sold for a lot more. Wouldn't that have a value?
Well,
Just the potential?
you're suggesting a speculative value.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I do a lot of speculative value work, and the problem with it is that there's no rules. There's no how do you know? Because Qualico bought land for $5,000 an acre 30 years ago. How did they know that would be the right number today? They didn't. That's why they call it speculative.
Yeah.
If someone said $5,000 an acre on the same concept of what Qualico buys, okay, I'm not going to argue for that nominal value at all. My point here, though, is anytime we come into these situations where the assessor says you have too much land, you've got to look at the deal itself. Like if you have a logistics outfit, you got trucks, and you have a 12-to-1 ratio, and you're paying.
No, yeah, I know we don't have to go there though. I'm just saying.
But you're paying for it in your rent, and that's what they already are. They're paying for it in their rent.
Well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But what I'm saying to you is, if this is put on the market for, let's say, $100,000, which is way under what the city has to value it, you don't think that somebody might come along and say, "Hey, this has got potential. I'm going to take my money with that. Maybe 20 years down the road, it's going to have a huge return for me."
Yeah, there's too many question marks. First, you have to get it surveyed and cut. Then you have to deal with planning, and then you have to deal with the rail lines. Just the fact of surveying and cutting it, what's going to happen on this is they used to have a rack rate on industrial land, and it was 10% of the value attributed to the land, and that used to be They
Yeah,
used
you
to
answered
talk
my
about,
question though, again. I'm
no, but
asking you,
it used to be $50,000 an acre. Now it's up at 4 or 500,000 an acre. So you got to pay 10% of that. So you're already out 100 grand on your
the question I
dedication
asked you though
fee.
was, is there no speculative value to this land? I'm saying if it was put down on the market at a much lower amount, you're not saying there wouldn't be any interested parties in that?
It's 100,000 upfront to pay for dedication. 100,000.
Okay,
So what are you going to offer for a hundred
okay,
thousand and your
okay, you're
dedication
not gonna answer my
period?
question. That's fine, Mr. Neufeld.
Well, I'm no, I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not having the greatest day, but day in day out, I'm doing these appraisals not for assessment, but for real world, where people are coming with these sorts of schemes that I have this piece of land and it should be worth more. Well, you got to prove it first, and you can't guess and assume it's got to be worth something. You got to prove it, and I kept asking the assessor, "Do you have a development approval?" You don't. So it's worth until you get that. The big money in land speculation is the people who make the money. They go and get those approvals. Then they flip the land for the big money. This hasn't got an approval.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Okay, Ms. Schultz.
Sorry, no questions. Thank you.
Okay, and I have no questions. It's now close to 3 o'clock. Why don't we take a 10-minute break here till 3:05? All right, thank you. Welcome back. We'll go to our final property, which is 2525 Inkster. So, Mr. Froelich, you can begin on that. I believe you're still muted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. File number is 25240. Roll number is 14100048 The value that we have for 2026 is $10,847,000. Property is a warehouse, 3 different buildings, 1 story, built over stages between 1998 and 2008. Wall heights are between 18 and 28 feet. Land area for this one is 746,598, and we have a leasable area of 96,028. The land to plan ratio in this situation is 8.71, and we're asking that the assessment be confirmed. As you can see on page 2, there's some pictures of the subject property. It's Fort Garry Industries. I haven't inspected this property, but these are pictures that we have from previous appeals. Got some additional outside pictures on page 3. And on page 4, we got some interior shots. As you can see, the building's it's new, modern. It's obviously it's been built, within the past 25 years, so it's in good physical condition. It's very clean and organized. There seems to be a retail component to it, or where people order parts. And page 6 shows some additional warehousing space. And page 7 shows the warehouse where some mechanical work is done. And page 7 shows an office. On page 8, what we have is we have the subject property on the right-hand side with the roll number there. And on the bottom of page 8, we actually have the building footprint of the entire building, where it's located in the northwest quadrant of the city of Winnipeg, very close to Inkster Boulevard and Route 90. Property is owner occupied, and the property has been compliant with regards to filling income and expense mailers. So because it's owner occupied, there is no market rents, which is equivalent to 65% of our properties within the city of Winnipeg. Property is a storage warehouse, 96,028 square feet. We're using a rent of $7.39, 3.5% vacancy, 3% for expenses, $4 for shortfall. Come up with a net operating income of $650,821. Utilizing a 6% cap rate, come up with a value of $10,847,000. Some comparable leases that I have. Properties are on Ellis, on Regent, Omens Creek, and Redwood. The oldest lease is from 2008, but it was a step-up lease. Lot sizes are between 81,000 square feet and 228,000 square feet. Building heights are between 15 feet and 27 feet. Effective years are between 1975 and 1992. And we have rents ranging from $6.33 up to $9. When we look at this property, it's within the 20th to 80th percentile. The cap rate's 6%. So due to the size and newness of the building, we feel that our cap rate's very fair. That concludes my formal presentation. Thank you.
Okay, questions, Mr. Neufeld?
Yes. Sorry, I just had to get it on my screen here. You call this a warehouse, but you haven't been in it then. What about from your pictures? Does that look like a warehouse?
Well, there's racking. And so the pictures that we have here shows that there's a warehouse component to this property.
Sure, but Fort Garry Industries, do you know what they are?
They build fire trucks and service
Not
fire
anymore.
trucks.
No, they
Okay.
don't. Now, Fort Garry Fire Trucks does, but you're close.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
you know what? I looked at their website at one point, and no, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I did see their
Okay.
website. They're a combination of they sell parts, they service parts, they do a variety of things.
Yeah, but
At the end of the day, Mr. Neufeld, we're looking not so much at the business of what they do, we're looking at the quality of the building.
okay, but what was the building built for? A warehouse?
That's how you have it qualified us. On your brief, you call it a warehouse.
Just that I'm asking you questions. Are you?
We call it a warehouse, and you're calling it a warehouse, Mr.
Okay.
Neufeld.
So you called it a warehouse. Now, so where are the loading bays?
Where are the loading bays? Aren't they on the east portion of the building? Well, there's this. Okay. Well, you have the truck services on the western portion of the building.
Yeah, it's truck bays. Okay. I'm just saying you call it a warehouse. You'd expect to see loading bays, right?
Well, you know what? Like we'll have places like Motor Coach Industries as warehouses as well, and so
Okay.
they'll have this. There's lots of trucks. Like if you just give me 1 sec here, Mr. Neufeld.
It's just fair to say that there aren't a lot of different types of definitions of industrial properties in the city's system. Is then
That's a fair comment to make.
okay? Good. That's all I was looking for.
well, it's
and you haven't been in it.
No, I haven't inspected this property.
Okay. And with its land ratio of what is it, 8.7? Why is there no cost for excess land?
Well, because of the lake right beside it, for partially, there's the lake on the back portion of it, right?
Yeah. But it has been given excess land for several years, and this year it isn't. Why is that?
This is the first time I've dealt with this appeal, Mr. Neufeld, so I can't answer that question.
Oh, okay. Your rents. Sorry, I was just looking at these rents here. Number one is retail, correct? It's a parts store, auto parts store, Napa.
Well, yeah, and it looks very similar to what we have on pages 4 and 5.
So it's retail. It's on Ellis Avenue off St. James.
But we have it qualified as a warehouse.
Okay, you do, but the rest of the world buys auto parts there, right?
Isn't Costco a warehouse?
I'm just asking you a question. Is it
retail?
retail?
The utilities of the building are very similar.
Does it open for retail business? 1777 Ellis.
Yes.
Okay. The next one, and that's, I take it, Amazon's warehouse?
Yep.
And that's on Regent Avenue, which is next door. Well, who are the neighbors?
Uh, car dealerships, retail,
Okay, that's all.
child and
Okay.
family services,
And
there's
uh,
Bueller's, Bueller was there at one point.
yeah, now what about these start dates on the last three? Why are you using these old leases?
Well, that's what I pull up on the comparables, but the newer lease for the Redwood property, there is a 2021 and 22 lease. I didn't bring it up. I don't have it here, but I know for a fact that there are recent leases there in the $7 range. This property.
Well, yeah, I'll get to that, but 160 Omens Creek at the effective date was off lease, right?
Yeah, I would have to double check with
Okay.
regard to that. It's just that, you pull up comparables. So when I went through this process of pulling comparables, I believe that my comparables are superior to yours. And when I'm looking at
But
this,
it's
when I'm
that's
looking at
not the question. Let's speed this up here. It's no longer in effect, correct? 160 Omens Creek.
yeah, but I could double check here right now.
And 1345 Redwood being Boeing, are you aware that the requirement on the landlord for Boeing's heating, ventilation, air conditioning equipment for their resin curing was somewhere between $2 and $4 million amortized into the lease?
Okay, but that's the old lease, even though I don't have it. I
Well,
don't have
it's
it referenced
2008.
here.
It's what you're presenting.
Yeah,
15
I
years in
understand, but
2008.
I'm speaking under oath, and the current lease is at the same rental rate or very close to it, and that was signed in 21 and 22.
A renewal.
No, that's not with Boeing.
Was it a renewal or is it somebody different?
So it is someone different.
Okay, but you didn't present that then.
No, but I know that for a fact.
Oh, okay. Well, you should have presented that one instead of these old ones that have expired. Well, that one, yeah, that one would have been expired as well, correct?
No,
Your number 4 and number 5 are expired as of the effective date, and as is number 2, correct?
number 2. Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Neufeld, I find it rich that you're criticizing my comparables based on what you present for
Well,
comparables.
this is
Let's not get
No,
into
well, the point
personal
is,
opinion.
it's just I'm speaking under oath here. He's questioning my credibility.
no,
And
I'm not. I'm
explaining
just
to-
questioning
Your lease
the
values. So
dates. You
these,
don't take it personally here. Um, and I guess the same questions I asked earlier about capitalization, it would be the same issue here in terms of the way it's prepared. I'm not going to get a different answer than questions I asked earlier, will I?
Nope.
Okay. And what was the general increase that the city applied in this neighborhood for this type of use? Do you know from the last assessment cycle?
Well, on average, our average increases were around 25%.
For properties
Industrial
in this
properties.
area,
Uh,
100,000 square foot industrial service space?
I can answer that for industrial properties, our average increase was 25%.
For all types or just single types?
For all types,
Okay.
for all types.
Those are my questions. Yeah, those are my questions. Thanks.
okay, Ms. Schultz, any questions?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Mr. Diamond.
No, I do not have, thank you.
Okay, no, I don't have any specific questions either. So, Mr. Neufeld, your presentation.
Thank you. Page 1, the workup, and I did actually find another rent, but I haven't done a calculation on it yet. I found a rent after the fact verbally that was really appropriate. It was at 581 a square foot. And I didn't present it as evidence. I was going to make a change to that, and it's the same correction on the shortfall as well. So our number should come slightly higher. and I'll do that while I'm presenting because I'm going to multitask this here.
Am I looking at the wrong brief here? Because I see an Inkster property here, but it has only 15,000 square feet on it.
What do you, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. I'm just wondering if I have the wrong one. Okay, just bear with me here for 1 sec here. Providing certain applicant brief.
I think where you might be getting confused is that for some reason on the previous property you
Yeah,
had
it was
some
Inkster.
photographs.
Yeah, and I have it correct now, so I apologize. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. So our number is slightly higher. I think it's going to be a little bit closer to 7 million on this. And what happened on this one is the tax appeal was missed in 2025, and we failed to file it. I have been representing this property since 1996, if you can believe that. And I just want to show you something that after all these years, I've finally accomplished. On page 6 is a picture I drew way back then about the setbacks on the property. And they had a multitude of setbacks. There's a 150-foot registration on the east side. And on the north side, there was the setback from the retention pond. And this was the city had always charged them for excess land. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that after 30 years, I was finally successful at getting that excess land removed. And maybe if I can keep working on 1395 Niagara another 15 years, I'll achieve the same thing. That's my joke for the day. Thank you. But this has been treated that way, and I asked the assessor the question about the land, and this is one where, again, all this land was not usable, and they bought this in '96, and ended up getting construction begun in 1998. Now, the original plan, when they first built this, is the Fort Garry Industries had two divisions. One was industries. They do truck repair, brakes, running gear, not motors or hydraulics, but the wheels, the axles, and things like that, brakes. And then the other part of it was Fort Garry Fire Trucks. They built fire trucks, and the two divisions parted ways. So the big building on the east side was custom designed for fire truck assembly. They had another section in the back that was built for brake lining and rubber relining, and the city refused to give them permission to do brake relining, and rubber relining it became obsolete. So what they've done with this is they just now use it for parts storage for their major elements that they're using in the site. But their business is trucks. So someone blows a brake drum or something on a truck, they pull into Fort Garry Industries and they fix it, and they're off on the road again. This is a service bay, not a warehouse. This is their business. And when it was first built, this was a great location at the corner of Inkster and Brookside, because that was the main truck route. With Canada Way now coming in and through Centerport, this site is not the best site. They would prefer to be further west on Canada Way for their use, because it's a question of easy in and out. And I'm speaking not from speculation. This is what I did for them. If you'll notice the picture on page 6, they have 4 access points, and we fought very hard to retain 4 access points extra wides on their site so the trucks could get in and out. And that was my job back then. Now, the one off Inksbrook, which is the street on the west side, the city at one point put a median in there, so we had to go before civic committee and say, can you push the median back so we can get our trucks out? And we had some good discussion with the private approach people, and they agreed to do it. When Inkster was widened with 2 lanes, or 2 sets of lanes, 4 lanes, we appeared before them to retain our access points. And you can see from the picture that we were able to, we had the Inksbrook entrance off the street on the west side, and then we got the the turn-in on the towards the middle of the lot. That's what we lobbied for. So all of the work I've been doing on this has been to keep it operational as a truck facility for trucks to come in and out and to be repaired. Oh, sorry, they also sell trailers, and that's why you see all the trailers parked around there. Um, and it gives me a sense of pride when I travel the country and I'm in BC or Ontario and I see somebody's got a Fort Garry Industries mud flap. That's Winnipeg. They're named Fort Garry. They started the back lane between Fort and Garry Strait in 1909 or something like that. So it's a great Winnipeg's business, and they also own a piece of land that fronts that road called. Did they change the name on it? Okay, the road on the east side, and when it came up for sale, but we can't develop it because what's happened on the land immediately east of it is the city had it under precincts, and they changed it to a mixed use precinct from an industrial. So now it's going to be retail and residential. And that's another reason that the neighborhood isn't that great for them anymore. Is sure they're first in, but with their usage, they, like all industrial, you eventually get squeezed out of a neighborhood. So, in our opinion, it's been devalued over time for the use that it is doing. And recently, last week, I believe it was, we came to agreement with the city on the 2023 value at $6,687,000. That's why I was asking the question about it. I know you're not looking at other assessments, but we are quite stubborn on this. First client, good client, and when we go into a site, it's not just a question of standing up in front of you and making a case for something. We know their business. I've been their in-house appraiser for 30 years. They have a new site in Sudbury. I was there, and in Langley, and in Regina, and Red Deer. And this is my job. I work for them. I know their business. So it's truck service. And so I just changed my numbers on it. I put in a rent of $581, and that's for a rent that Big Freight is paying. Just, I didn't present it to you, but I just saw it, found it 2 days ago. We actually did an appraisal on it, and the person who did this wasn't aware of it, but it's perfect, 581. That changes my potential income to 557,923. And I've kept the rest of it in, changed the shortfall to $4. My NOI is now 487,264. Cap rate, what I see here in the cap rate, I see we're in the wrong location for this business. We got to be even on the other side of Brookside, where the truck action is, because this is their business. It's out of the way. So our new value, 7.25%, is $6,721,000. And as far as comparing it to last year, well, just my comment on the market. What went up in industrial is logistics sites, warehousing sites, Amazon style sites, doing home delivery. During COVID, it was a hot business. I don't dispute the rents those people got. They were into the double digits, $10 to $14 is what we saw. And all of them built in Rosser. And that's what drove up the market. But this old style, the assessor says it's new. It's 30 years old, at least for me it is, and it's not as viable as it was when they first built it, and that's what I think it should be, and I don't think there's anything new. Just I wanted to show you something briefly in the rebuttal. Yeah, I mean, there was the usage restrictions too, that they have to build. They had to move their brake lining plant to Oak Bluff because the city wouldn't let them do it. And it would have been nice to have it on the site. At the time, when they moved in, they were given MP2 zoning, which is an industrial park, and they wouldn't allow it. Now they've changed that zoning to M2. So today it would be allowed as an inside work, but it's too late. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, questions, Mr. Froelich? You're muted.
You want to be respectful, and then you forget these things. 10 Hutchings. So what year was 10 Hutchings built?
10 Hutchings? Sorry, just give me an idea where you're looking at.
Well, you just mentioned you're using the comparable rent at 10 Hutchings at $5.81. So I'm asking you questions about this rent that you're using at Hutchings because you said it's big freight.
Oh, are you looking at, what are you looking at?
Well, I know Big Freight's located on Hutchings and Shepherd in Inkster Industrial Park.
Just a sec. I'm not sure we're talking about the same thing. Let me just double check something here. Because we were having some communications and Big Freight. Hutchings, 581. I don't know, we appraised it. I'm not sure. It's a truck
Okay.
bay.
Well, okay. Is it fair to say that the land to building ratio compared to, and in fairness to the Board of Revision members, panel members, I apologize. Uh, the comparable that Mr. Hutchings is using was built in the 1970s. This was combination built in 2000. There's 25 years difference. The land to building ratio between Hutchings and Inkster property is significantly different. That would also impact rent. So, which is why I feel comfortable with the rent that we're using of $7.39. That's why I'm asking Mr.
Okay, is there a question in there?
My question is the Hutchings property similar to the Inkster property that he's using?
Just 1 second here. I just want to make sure you got the right number. I'm not sure we're talking about the same property, but I'll check.
Well, if it's one of your comparables, shouldn't you know the address?
Yeah, but I just wrote it down here and I was going from memory. We did some work on them. They had I know they used to own all the site and then the business was sold and then the real estate was separate and then they have another tenant in there. So they have a large lot. The point is that if Big Freight can operate in it, that proves its utility, and it's the question we're talking about on all of these properties with trucking is take a look at the semi-trailers. Can you maneuver them? And if you can, then they're a suitable use for the other people. It has to do with layout and other things. Hutchings is, I believe, and I don't have the number on Hutchings. Total building is 176,000 square feet. And I don't have the land in front of me, but they can use it for truck bays, and that's
okay. So, but was your property in Hutchings built in the year 2000?
I don't think it's relevant to this use.
Well, it's how could it not be relevant? Age matters.
No, what matters in the trucking business is semi-trailer maneuverability area and next ceiling height. After that, a building built in 1950 that can accommodate it, it provides them the same utility as one built new. So they don't go and show off, hey, guess what? I'm in a new building today to the other trucking buddies. Nobody cares. It's about, can I get in my trucks? So if you got a cross dock, do you have good front and rear for your cross dock access? If you have a front, just one dock side, you have a semi-trailer turnaround space, you need a 125-foot circle. And then inside, do you have rack height? Rack is 5 feet tall. How many racks can you put in? 5 is good. That means you need 30 feet with the forkload space. I mean, this is what the people in this business do. This is how they make decisions on their space. And you brought up the Boeing, and 1345 Redwood was built in the 50s, right?
And, and
and
it's
it
effective
became
year
a
in
suitable.
1980 now.
It's, your effective is just something somebody made up. It's 1950s space. It was a General Motors assembly plant that they took over, and they were able to repurpose for another use because it had good ceiling height and had adequate loading. And that's the key here. That's what an appraiser looks for, is utility, not vanity.
But you're claiming that trucking such a huge component of market rent, and the big freight located on Hutchings and Shepherd at this corner has a very low land to building ratio and has poor access to trucks. They still do their business there, but it's not
Are you
it's not
speaking as an expert in this?
well, Mr. Neufeld, I've listened to you many times over the years, and I've listened to your teachings, and these are the things that I find. And when I look at the property at Hutchings, all the issues that if you were representing the Hutchings property, you'd be mentioning this, and it's inferior to the subject property. And I just
Yeah,
want to
no,
make sure that the panel members know this.
no, it's got docks, right? So if you got docks, that means you've got a minimum of 125 feet up front to turn around,
I have
and
no
that's the key.
Okay. Are you done with your questions, Mr. Froelich?
You know what? Yeah, Mr. Neufeld did some adjustments to his shortfall rate. And as an observation here, Mr. Neufeld's, so once again, Mr. Neufeld, I appreciate that you made the adjustment to it. But once again, your shortfall rate was higher than the actual rent that you'd used on your brief.
No, I changed it to $4.
Yeah, I know, but it's okay.
I mean, it's a fair call. You made a good call there, and we're not out to look for anything. I'm not out to stand by something that's not supportable. And $4 is kind of the way to go.
No other questions.
Okay. Mr. Diamond, questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Ms. Schultz?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, let me just make sure I got your numbers right here, Mr. Neufeld. Your NOI becomes what was your NOI?
Had me all confused. I was trying to look up this other site. I think the assessor got it wrong. Anyway, NOI 487,264.
487,264. Okay. And so you capped that. And what's your final value?
And is okay, I had 4 screens. I just lost it here. Oh, found it. 6,721, 6,721,000.
All right. So I have no more questions then. Did you have any rebuttal on this
Just
property?
very, very, very brief. Yes, it's the one Fort Garry Industries, FGI.
Okay. Nope, that's not the right one. Okay. All right, I think we got it. It's the one that's labeled 488 Burnell.
Oh, that's at the top of the page, right? Yeah. Sorry. 25. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just again, I know you're not comparing assessments, and it's just to point out that sometimes we don't always agree. Sometimes the Board of Revision doesn't make a change, but in the long run, we were pleased that this is the appropriate outcome. And that's the way we look at it, is this value thing isn't something that's hypothetical. It has to bear some semblance to reality. And so we just resolved it. Then there's the picture below, which shows their brake shop in Oak Bluff that they weren't allowed to put in their site, so it ruined their utility for them. What would be great is for somebody like this is to be in Rosser, where I got to say this the right way, where the permissibility level of certain things is more conducive to the operation of a trucking company than inside the city of Winnipeg. And that's the city of Winnipeg hasn't really kept pace with industrial lands as they get more and more restrictive on uses and deal with gentrification and processes and you know they are out of touch with industrial. And I think as a summation for all these properties today, as you can see how out of touch they are, there's 50 different types of industrial properties, not one, and they have to be valued that way. And that's my job to do. That's what I do. And the assessment model doesn't do it. One size fits all. And if I was bringing a flex warehouse that was getting $11 a foot, well, we wouldn't even be having this discussion because they get that sort of money. Truck bays don't. And please refer to my comments earlier on the Collier study about truck bays coming back to the market are getting inferior rates. And the comments from our brokers is that the good rates are coming for flex warehouse, not trucking. That's it. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Any questions on the rebuttal, Mr. Froelich?
Yeah, well, on the rebuttal, it says that Mr. Newfield said that it was done recently. Is April 26th, 2023 done recently?
That's when he made the deal, and we're dealing with city employees, so they measure time differently than we do. We're still
Well, you said recently, and that's 2 years ago, so that's why I'm wondering.
recently.
Yeah, the email stated that in your rebuttal evidence said April 26th, 2023.
I just have to look at that. Sure. I see that. I don't think it really matters. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Well, okay.
It's just a question of the value on this.
And the value that you're seeking is lower than the agreed upon value for 2023. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean that's what we observed in the industrial market is this a sector of it, the subsector of it softened because but because of the other markets took off, and not this part of it, not the service side of it, and because like if you were living in the north and you measure snow, there's 37 different types of snow. Well, there's 40 different types of industrial. This one isn't performing the best. And the biggest reason is Centerport comes on stream. They got public third reading assent at Rosser in, I think, 2019. And then it started booming. People wanted to be out there. They have better trucking routes, and they can get a permit to develop within a few very, very short time, unlike the city of Winnipeg. And the city of Winnipeg is not doing a good enough job at keeping pace with development. And that's all big cities are the same. I'm not slamming Winnipeg. The rural municipalities are aggressive, they're marketing, and they're getting product, and they're stealing it from the big cities. And that hurts the value in the big cities. So, and trucking is migrating.
But you referenced 11. Are we asking for $11 a square foot for this property?
No, but that's what the new stuff can get with high
Okay,
cubes. So we're talking about 35-foot high cube space. Sure, why not? Because how many racks? You can put 6 racks in there.
Yeah. And this building's 28 feet. It's just, I just find it rich that you're using a rent of a 1974 building, comparing it to a 2000 building.
Okay, we're getting off the rebuttal here.
Yep, that was, yeah, it's just, that's my only observation. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Okay, Mr. Diamond, any questions on the rebuttal?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Ms. Schultz?
No, thank you. I have no questions.
All right, so then we've now heard all the items on today's agenda, and the hearing is now adjourned. So thank you, gentlemen, for your presentations.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And we'll take a short break, and then we'll come back for our deliberations.
I'll get us offline, Mr. Chair.
All right.